I mean, the obvious first one is the UK tournament. I still to this day think how it was a crazy achievement with no TV training, no WWE training, nothing. We're just going to pluck you off the Indies, put you on TV for a special, a live special. So wrestling on TV, live TV, and to be able to be one of the 16 people who were able to do that, with, well, at the time I was signed less than 30 matches under my belt. Something that's it's incredible. It's all to this day. When I try and describe how kind of crazy that was, like, it's difficult to describe. And to be able to do that, like my mum was just in the front row watching, and my dad was watching because he lived at the time in Miami. He was watching live at the WWE Network with some of his friends that he works with and stuff. And so, like, to be able to do that, to do that is incredible, and a very small number of people have been able to say they can do that. So that's one. And then where I think I struggled after that is the fact that I wasn't picked up by them, and then I was like kind of thinking, well, what am I, obviously I knew that I was young, fresh in the industry, so I had more experience to get. But then when I got to a point where, like, right, I've got loads more experience now, I'm like 10 times the wrestler I was when they first were interested in me, so why aren't they interested in me now, kind of thing. And then they eventually called me back for NXT UK, and that moment was like a big, like, everything's paid off redemption moment. And at the time, I was talking to William Regal afterwards after NXT UK. They brought me back, and he was like, "You've done everything we've wanted you to do in your time away. Like, you've gone back and you've clearly thought about everything we wanted you to get better at and to consider and that sort of thing. And you've worked on it all and you've done it all." And like his kind of parting words to me is like, "I really hope that they can offer you something." Nothing came of it in the end, but just the fact that moment was very much like, oh, not I've arrived kind of moment, but it's like everything that the work that I put in, the mental anguish and the physical anguish over that previous year, I think a year and a half or so, maybe even 2 years. No, it was 2 years. 2.5 years, actually. 2.5 years was all worth it. And 2.5 years is actually a long time to work away on something with no expectation or no inclination of actually it coming to fruition. So that was a big one. And then there's like things in wrestling that I've done, and I've kind of not taken for granted, but I've not been present enough to enjoy them as much as I would do. So, like I mentioned before, going to extra work with WWE and that sort of stuff. And I made sure when I did the AEW tapings last month, I'm like, right, this might be your last opportunity to do something like this. So just every second you're there, just take it in and just realise you're working at AEW. It was actually work. I ended up doing a spot with Will Ospreay and MGF, but it's like, while I was out there, I'm this time I'm taking every single second of this in, because this could be the last time I ever do anything like this again. So stuff like that, and you'll notice I'm talking primarily about moments rather than matches and stuff, and that's just how I've always been. But moments within the matches, going out to do my match with Pete Dunne, probably a big one for me, because going out and feeling a live crowd to that extent was just huge. So, and I've done other cool things as well that probably would be up there, or the things I'd be thinking about if it wasn't for the fact that I've always wanted to work for a WWE or work for a television company, that sort of thing. So the AEW and WWE things will always be top. But going like wrestling for progress at Ali Pali and Wembley Arena, like two like huge things as well. Again, moments rather than matches. I don't, the matches things, they are what they are. I've had great matches with people, but they don't rank up in terms of moments. The stuff I'll be able to do, everything patterned as well, while it's on a much lower scale, I guess, than some of the actual wrestling stuff. But doing everything patterned and then having it on being shown by PWI and on one of their watch-alongs they did during lockdown, and then I'm not knowing this is happening as well. And I woke up one morning and it was like all these mentions from all these American accounts because they just watched the show, and I was like, well, this is cool. Like, that's like the show concept was part me and part wrestling resurgence, but the fact that it was so well received that it got shown all across the world and that people really welcomed it and responded to it really favourably. Again, something that's like what touched me as a cool moment for my career. So.
10 years though, man, it must be hard to regale specifics, except for when they're they're the emotional highs, they're the semantic highs. So listen, man, unless like me, when you get to your 30s, it's like, oh yeah, that did happen. You kind of need a little jogging sometimes. You're like, huh, yeah, I did do that. Oh, okay, yeah, well now it's coming back to me. So that makes perfect sense, the fact that it's not like, it's more these smattering of moments. But the fact is, man, like I say, you've listed a few things there that I know, just again, as a bog standard wrestling fan, is just like, wait, what? That's insane, man. That's so cool. So my question is, okay, and maybe this is hard because, again, I know you said there was a period of time where wrestling didn't factor in the same way, but you grew up with it to a certain degree. What are some of the things that 5-year-old you would go, I did what? Like, holy crap. Like again, I like looking at myself through that prism because it helps put your accomplishments in the context of when you started versus what you do now, which is you look at it now and you're like, oh yeah, that was that was okay. Whereas 5-year-old you would go, that's so fucking cool. I mean, I wouldn't have sworn, obviously, Dad. But anyways, point being that, you know what I mean? Like, what are some of the things that you would go like, actually, 5-year-old me would be pretty fucking impressed with this?
I mean, becoming a wrestler itself is one. If I told 5-year-old me that I'm a wrestler, I mean, my God loves wrestling, and he's in all that his uncle wrestles. So, that's one thing. But the fact, again, and I'll keep going back to it, but it's really, really fucking cool. It's something that I would to be able to have told 5-year-old me is that, when you're older, you'll end up wrestling for WWE. You'll end up, sitting in rooms with like Triple H and like you mentioned, be sat down with Michael Cole talking about him asking questions about you, and your life and you as a wrestler and that sort of thing, and be able to do stuff like that. Maybe not so much 5-year-old me because he wasn't really a thing when I was 5, but being like good friends with MVP is like something that let's say 20-year-old me, because that's when he is about. And MVP was my guy when I was growing up, and just the fact that me and him are good friends, and whenever he's over in the UK, he always makes sure to come see me and do something with me whenever he's here, and like stuff like that. These things that telling my younger self like, oh, this will happen when you're older. I wouldn't believe it. So it's stuff like that's really cool. But again, the things you don't take stock of when they happen, it's just the thing. But yeah.
Like I say, man, I know it's weird to put it in that context, but I think as adults and the longer you go in your career, it's very easy to trivialize things that you would have thought, oh, that's never going to happen. And then it happens, and the context of it maybe makes you go, huh. But in hindsight, you go, actually, that was pretty fucking cool. I mean, like, again, even having conversations like this with gentlemen like yourself, 16-year-old me, 12-year-old me, 10-year-old me, who was dreaming about having his own TV show one day, it's kind of like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool.